Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you back to Kagekaze's domain, where we're going to take a look at patch...
I said come here!
What?
Come over here!
Deckard Cain?
That's right. I thought I told you to stay a while and listen. Why does nobody stay a while and listen?
I'm sorry, I really thought that
Don't you sass me, boy. I'm the last of the Herodrum. I can cut you. I will cut you. Oh, you have any idea what it's like to watch your entire city burn? Everyone dead in front of you. Oh, it does horrible things to a man. Horrible, crazy things. One might make one slightly psychotic, I suppose. I'm sorry, I seem to have lost my train of thought. Did you perhaps need your items identified?
No thanks, I'm good. I'm just going to go over here now. Yeah, see you later. Alright, every now and then I like to do something kind of a little bit fun just to keep things interesting and hopefully keep you guys entertained. Are you not entertained? Well, as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, this is Kagekaze's domain. We're continuing our playthrough of the monk for patch 15 here. We've helped Hadrig and we're moving on to the Weeping Hollow on our way to try and find the crown. And immediately, we have hit level 6 for the first rune. Bounding Light for Fists of Thunder. Now, this one's going to be kind of fun because before, when I got this ability on the last playthrough, monsters weren't as densely populated as they are now. Fist of Thunder with Bounding Light was nice to have, but it was by no means required and, really didn't speed up your killing process too much. But now, we look at this, every third punch releases chain lightning instead of knocking enemies back, and each lightning strike inflicts 73% weapon damage. So we lose a little bit of damage on the final hit, but it's a chain lightning hitting group. This is why I think now it's going to be quite useful. I think this combined with Tempest Rush at this time is going to be a very nice combination because I'll be able to move myself in a position that allows Chain Lightning to achieve the maximum number of bounces. So as you can see there, very helpful for weeding out the riffraff. I can try and focus on the unique monster here, and the lightning will hit the minions. A little bit of strategy there. Of course, conversely, I could have tried to attack the minions first and let the lightning hit the unique. But the thing is usually uniques are the things you need to die quickly, especially in an instance like that where the unique is a monster generator. Alright, now before I get too deep in here, what I want to do is go ahead and give a shout out to Team Trebis. I hope I'm saying that right, mate. I didn't ask you. He basically did a shout out to me on his channel. He is the owner of SC2 Noob School, and I'll provide a link, of course, on my channel. He basically featured me in one of his Diablo news posts. And I wanted to at least repay the favor, even though he's got far more subs than I do. He's, he seems like a very good guy. Talked with him a bit. Who knows, maybe down the road, we might help each other out if we can. I'll be his sidekick. I'm sure he doesn't really need my help, but hey. Me, I'll take any help I can get. I'm still new at this thing. I'm sure you guys are going to give me like a big head with all the comments I get in my videos so far. Don't stop, just I'm not used to it. Okay. So far, haven't needed Tempest Rush. Everything is kind of coming right to me. I'm approaching one of the random generated map squares. I'm really hoping to find, as I play through this, unique instances that pop up throughout the map, such as Den of the Fallen. That would be really nice to get, but I also am hoping for things like the Hangman's Tree, things that are basically little events that are nice to find, especially since I'm going to be trying to put together footage for a segment that's based around those. What I like about this third hit, notice that it can bounce across destructible objects. So if it doesn't look like you have a lot of monsters or you're concerned about them not being nearby, you can see there the final hit just bounced around. Why, hello there. Tarask Brimstone. Alright, since I have fielded the question at least once, I'll go ahead and go over it real quick. For those of you that don't know, the ability to stop an attack at will is basically achieved with the shift button. Just holding that down lets you kind of attack the air. It's somewhat useful for melee classes if you want to start, for example, Deadly Reach. I could start swinging Deadly Reach, and I don't have to get into range. I can just sit there and attack and hope they get into my range. It's more useful for range classes who, if you want to just stand there and you don't want to move, because if you misclick, you'll end up moving close, and you don't want that. So if you want to just stand still, you can do that and just kind of manually aim while using it. I know for a lot of veterans that's kind of old hat, we all know about it, but you know, we are getting some new people with Diablo 3, people that have never played the Diablo series before, and you know, I'm more than happy to provide whatever information I can to try and make their experience enjoyable. Now here I've got a group of elite monsters here. Now, interesting thing about the elite monsters is they don't tend to drop their best loot until you kill the last one. There is no boss of these elite monsters. Sometimes they will have a boss. I'll take that back. But that boss will usually be unique, and he'll be kind of the yellow skeleton like you saw earlier, where they'll have a name, maybe a unique affix. Unique monsters and elite monsters all generally have some kind of magical property that makes them dangerous. In higher difficulties, of course, for those that don't know, the number of enchants that a monster can have will increase. Right now it's normal mode, so of course we're only seeing one magical affix on these monsters right now. So typically we're seeing like knockback and, oh, this is what I wanted to see. I interrupted myself. This is CNN, or the Den of the Fallen. Either way. I really like Den of the Fallen. Level 2 is one of the only places in the beta where you can get higher monster levels, equal to monsters that appear just outside of the Skeleton King's room. Oh, perfect for this ability. Very quickly just mowed through that grip with my Bounding Light. See, this is why I like dual wielding. That third strike happens more often. Now, it may not hit very hard. It would hit harder if I had a two-handed weapon. But I can do it more often and get more bounces across these groups. nightmarish, huh? Kind of rush past them there so I can do a better position. Oh, I forgot I had blinding flash for a moment there. It's all good in the hood. Definitely liking the bounces on Bounding Light. It is so much more useful now. The monster population density is such that using AoE skills really matters now. You don't have to have an AoE skill, but if you do, you'll quickly tear through a lot of the small fry now. Prior to this patch, prior to 15 here, there just wasn't really enough density in the monsters, and that's to say basically there wasn't a lot of them in clumps. And so using an ability that hit a group typically felt like it wasn't that useful because you're only going to hit maybe 3 or 4 monsters at a time. Now, as you can see, I'm getting clumps of 5 or more at certain times. Still getting the occasional one, but there's more groups of larger packs, and I really like that change. It really kind of makes you feel heroic when you start taking out large groups of enemies. You know, killing 1 or 2 zombies, you know, that's... you know, oh yeah, that's cool and all, but killing a swarm of zombies, now that's fun. You know, we really shouldn't hate on zombies. You know, they're people too. It could be a hate crime. Just beating them down like that. Of course, now here in level 2, we get a resplendent chest with some nice blue items here. And oh, what a fix do we have today? We have, oh, looks like Vortex again. I showed that off last time I had this. He will pull me in, as you can see there. If I try to keep my distance, he will probably try and pull me back in again. His minions should have the same property. Kind of playing keep away there, trying to focus on 1 or 2 at a time there. That's why I used my rush to get past him, so that I didn't get swarmed. Thankfully, they move around fairly randomly, so it played to my advantage. Kind of trying to see here, though, if he'll pull, if not just him, but if his minions can pull me in. Looks like I got an elite pack of teleporters. I may have... Oh, there's a few issues for myself here. Let's get past them. There we go. That helps. I killed his minion, so I won't be able to tell if the minion can pull me in. That's the thing about elite packs. The elites all have the same property. Whereas this unique monster here, only he seemed to have the Vortex capability. And as you can see here, this level definitely has a higher monster level because the lesser health potion dropped here. First I've found so far, this restores 400 life compared to the 250 of this potion. Alright, since we're here, let's very quickly go through armor, 20 more, so I can have a more subtle outfit, not so revealing. And I don't need any of these. 3 and 4s. And hey, 24 on some pants. And they are actually kind of pants. They're kind of cut off there. Notice that? Huh. Call them pseudo pants. Alright, so I don't want to bore you guys too much with my item fiddling. But hey, look at this. Extra gold and melee attackers take 1 damage, plus it's more armor. I like that. I will lose my regen, but I can deal with that. Anything else I can replace? Hey, bracers. Always good. Both are pickup yardage, which kind of sucks, but that's okay. Now here's something I can talk about because this was mentioned, and I kind of downplay the importance of the primary attribute stats for attributes that are not of your damage type. So for example, sorry, wrong one. Strength gives damage to barbarians. Every point of strength is 1% extra damage. Every point of dexterity is 1% extra damage for demon hunters and monks. And every point of intelligence is, again, 1% damage for wizards and witch doctors. But they do have secondary abilities. The reason why I downplay them a bit right now is because their secondary abilities are not that important at this early part of the game. Strength will give you additional armor, which armor helps you with your damage mitigation. You will be able to take more hits, basically. Oops, my apologies for hitting the microphone. Okay, so you can take more hits with increased armor here. Let me see here. There you go. Reduces all damage from enemies of the same level as you by 25% with 104 armor. So the more strength you get, the more armor you get. Apparently, each point of strength is 1 point of armor. And as you can tell, every point of armor is not a % of reduction. There will be kind of a diminished return on that as you go. Mainly due to damage reduction being a multiplicative stat, not an additive. In other words, you cannot add up your percentage. You cannot add up your percentages to reach 100%. You will never, ever be able to achieve 100% damage reduction. That would just make things unfair if you could. So that's strength. And dexterity gives you dodge. So 25. So it looks like every point of dodge is 0.1%. Or every point of dexterity is 0.1% to dodge. Because with 25 you get 2.5. So that's not too bad. And intelligence is nice. So here I've got these leather gloves here. They've got intelligence on them. It's 1 less armor. So as you can see, it says my protection goes down. But what the tooltip is not really showing you in this case is that intelligence will give me resistance. It increases my resistance by 1.3 here. So every point of resistance is a 0.1 reduction, kind of like the dodge being a 0.1 reduction to a resistance stat. So if I go in here and you look at this, a 1 resistance reduces, so that's physical. Let's just go ahead and do here like lightning. Reduces lightning damage from level 6 enemies, so basically a level, your same level, by 4.15, and that's with just a 1. So that's not too bad. That's a much higher resistance than I was expecting for just having a 1. We'll have to, of course, see as things go on how that is affected, because there's just not enough gear at this early on to really see how all the stats are going to add up. So it's really hard to kind of gauge what kind of gear we'll be looking for, because I have been asked that too. What kind of gear should people be looking for as they level up? You know, to be honest, because a lot of the high-end weapons have not been revealed to us yet, the legendaries are still being worked on, the sets are still being worked on, I really couldn't tell you too much on that. And I still intend to kind of make a video based on dual wielding compared to two-handed use and things like that. Okay, so back to this. Basically, that'll give me 0.3 in my reduction, so let's just see how much it'll be. This is, of course, rounding. As you can see here, I've got 1.3, and this only shows 1. So this round's apparently it does nearest rounding, so it's rounding down at this point. So let's go ahead and wear that. That'll give me a 0.3. That'll give me a 1.6. So I'll go ahead and put that on. And see, now that it's past 0.6, it's rounding up to the nearest integer. So this says I'm basically getting about 5.6. Take it off, 4.1. So I've gained an extra percentage reduction, which isn't too bad, honestly. Even at this early level, again, not great, but every little percentage helps. Alright, I know that was kind of a little unstructured there. Again, all of these sequences that I talk about are kind of, off the top of my head. I don't really have a script in mind. I kind of try and think of what people have asked in comments. Like I said, I know I don't get to respond to all the comments. I try to respond to some. I do read them. And I do try to take, ideas that I can reasonably work with. Like right now, trying to think of anything I can think of that would fit into this playthrough. Okay, ooh. A knockback, delete pack. There's the ability I'm looking forward to right there. That's Vulture Claw. And I might change things up a tiny bit. I like this ability because it fundamentally changes what Lashing Tail Kick does. Alright, release a torrent of fire that burns nearby enemies for 220% weapon damage as fire and causes knockback. So it's increased the weapon damage of the kick by 20%, but what's also great is it retains the knockback and it changes the direction of where it hits. Like Lashing Tail Kick would hit a small area in front of you. I wouldn't say quite 180 degrees, but it was a decent range. Really close to 180 if it wasn't. But now, Vulture Claw is a 360 degree spell. Everything in front of you, behind you, around you will be hit and will be knocked back. I like combining this ability with Tempest Rush. Fortunately, to do that now, I would have to get rid of Blinding Flash. Blinding Flash is kind of useful against those tougher packs. Why am I still picking these up? Nothing is that useful right now. Get rid of that. Out of my inventory, you. Okay. This is tough because Bounding Light is much more useful than it used to be. I was going to go back to Deadly Reach, because that's what I did last time. I picked up Deadly Reach and used Lashing Tail Kick with the Vulture Claw Kick. Alright, let me go ahead and do this. I'm going to take Tempest Rush again, because I really like this combination. It's more active, and I think it's more fun. In a tougher setting, I might have to revert back to Blinding Flash, just because Blinding Flash is just so useful for escape or attack. I can move in, get into a group, blind them all, just hit them. And of course, that's the thing. I could use Blinding Flash in lieu of my Tempest Rush, but by blinding everything and then walking into the middle of the group. But again, what I like about Tempest Rush is just the ability to move in and out of the groups. Being able to run past monsters that get in my way. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with Bounding Light. The amount of monsters that are coming up against me are making it worth it. just the other two. Alright, let's move on to the cemetery. Let's go find that unique. He was kind of hobbling around over here somewhere. There he is. Oh, perfect.
Not enough spirit.
Alright, we'll explore this one first. That didn't quite work as planned. It's usually my favorite move to just go right into the group and kick them all away. And little thing here, these are actually names of developers of the game, pointed out on the Diablo fans forums there. Sorry, I'd give you credit if I had your name in front of me. Of course, apparently the person that posted them in the Diablo fans forum wasn't the first to ever post them, but it was the first I had ever seen it, so I thank them very much for posting it. It's kind of neat little Easter eggs like that that they put into the game. You know, just stuff that you would never think to look for. Like, who would really think to walk up to that area, zoom in, and take a look what's on the wall? Of course, in this, you don't get to see anything. It's looking like I've basically found the correct tomb at this point. The correct crypt. The proper burial ground. No! I have been thwarted. It is the resplendent chest.
The crown is not here. It must be in one of the other crypts.
Alright, back off, boys. Yeah, that ability to hit in kind of a 360-degree arc is exceptionally useful. A 13.5 staff. It looks like I might get to do a two-handed build here for now. Very well. Okay, 11 to 16. That is nice. It does reduce my attacks per second, though, so I will see a reduction in this. But each strike will do more damage, so there's more potential for my Bounding Light to just hit a large group and just kind of destroy everything it hits. Weak monsters. Honestly, here's the thing. When it comes to hard-hitting two-handed weapons and the like, They're really useful for basically groups of monsters that die quickly. If you have like a big ability, a big AoE ability, and you want to kill them all fast, that's usually a good way to go. If you're using faster weaponry, then you might have to take more hits to knock them down, and by then they may have surrounded you. So, you know, abilities like Arcane Orb tend to benefit from having a lot of power on a slower cast, just because then you can decimate the larger groups of enemies. Of course, if you play your cards right with the faster weapons, you can still do it too. But here's the thing: look how slow I attack now, comparatively. Although you can also see how much more damage I'm doing. I'm attacking about half as much as I was before. But it's hitting so hard, I kind of like it. Now, there's also something to be said about effective damage over time as well. If you hit a monster with a large hit, and you overkill that monster by a large amount, then you could be potentially wasting resources. What do I mean by that? Well, let's say I have a group of let's say I've got a group of 3 or 4 elites coming my way, and let's say they have about 100 hit points, and I kill them with a hit that does 150. That's basically about 50 wasted damage there. But if I have an ability that can hit, say, for 50 damage, I have to hit them 3 times, yes. Or I have to hit them twice, because they only have 100 hit points. But I can more effectively, hit them precisely at that damage level. So it's kind of it's really not the best concept for me to be talking about without sitting down to really go over it before I really go into the details, because it's not going to really sound quite right. There's a lot of math that goes into some of these about effective damage, wasted damage, and again, wasted resources. For example, anytime that you have a class that generates resources, like a wizard and its arcane power, anytime you're at full arcane power, your resources are being wasted. You're gaining resources back every second, and anytime you're not using it, it's spilling over. You're losing it. I think Trebis put it best. You basically think of a beer that's constantly being filled up, and if you don't drink it, it shall be wasted, and no one likes wasted beer. I have to thank him for that. I laughed when I heard him say that. I'm not an authority to really be going into these because as much as I like the math of the game, there's just some concepts that go a little bit over my head, and just because I haven't gone into them in great detail. I probably even had the example I gave a little backwards. Basically, it's about you don't want to waste damage on a monster that you could be killing quickly. You want to basically make sure that your damage output is going into the right spot. You want to, for example, you don't really want to be using your hardest hitting abilities on the weaker monsters. You want to be using the appropriate skill for the situation, really, is what it is. Yeah, this one's going to be a bit more rambling than usual. Sorry, guys. This is what I get when I don't kind of sit and write everything down or give myself planning on these, because I go into an advanced topic, and advanced topics really can be pretty hard to cover without pre-planning. Oh boy. Don't get hit by the explosions if you can avoid it. So let's go into something I do know a little bit about, though, so I don't sound so stupid. Oh boy, I know I'm going to hear it too. Mistakes on the internet last forever, you know. Anyway, let me go into something that's a little easier for me to talk about. And that's the comparison of the, again, this is the whole two-handed dual wielding thing. Because I'm attacking slower, my spirit generation is slower. But my ability like Lashing Tail Kick, this is good for Lashing Tail Kick. Because Lashing Tail Kick is an ability that hits and knocks back. I'm not going to be spamming it quite that often. So having a hard-hitting two-handed weapon is great. And it makes me maximize my spirit. But because I attack slower, again, my generators will not give me as much power. If I were using dual wielding right now, I could basically be getting twice as much spirit. But there's the problem. While I will be gaining twice as much spirit over time, I will be doing half as much damage on my spender. This isn't a great build for fighting him. Let's healed me. That's weird. I didn't hit my potion button. I was going to, I didn't have to. Anyway. So there's the trade-off. You're going to hit hard, but you're going to hit less often, and that even accounts for these slow abilities. Weapons with massive cooldowns, or that do a lot of damage that you can't use that often, such as an ability I'll get later on called Wave of Light, are exceptionally useful with large, slower weapons. Oh wow, look at that. I'm liking it. I'm liking how much damage this can put out.
No, I will not allow you to bring that monster Leoric back to this world.
I don't have enough spirit.
Alright, well, as tempting as it might be to try and edit out the ramblings I had earlier about effective damage, again, please, forgive me for that one. It's a topic I really should have had some planning on before I went into. I've basically dabbled into it a little bit, and I kind of understand the high-level principles of it, but trying to go into the workings of it like this in such short notice was really a bad idea. So I do apologize for that. I would highly recommend looking into it, though. You can probably do some searches or look in the official forums. There's a lot of people out there that really, a lot of theory crafters out there, honestly, that have much more knowledge than I do about these kind of subjects. And they're going to be the ones you're going to want to go to.
I didn't think you'd make it back alive. It's good to work again.
So, with that, what I think I'm going to do is I spent a little more time here on this one, I believe. I've got a lot of items, so I'm going to go ahead and cut off this recording at this point and see how long it is and append to it if need be. But for now, I'm just going to assume that this is long enough to last on its own. Again, I apologize for going into a concept I really didn't have authority to talk about without preparation. Honestly, I still hope that you're able to pull something out of that, and maybe it will help you look into the topic further online. It's really kind of interesting when you start looking at the math of where you want your damages to go and how you don't want to waste damage and simultaneously you don't want to waste resources. That will be what a lot of min-maxers are going to be looking at. You know, min-maxers being the people that like to minimize the downside of their class and maximize their damage potential or survivability. There's a lot of things that min-maxing can mean. Basically, it means you're trying to get the most out of your class at any given point in time. But definitely the two-handed weapons and dual wielding thing I definitely could at least go into. It's something you're going to want to consider based on your build. If you're going to go for resource generation, you're going to want to be using fast weaponry, either one hand with an offhand such as a shield or dual wielding. If you are going to be using a lot of these high cooldowns or abilities that have things such as knockbacks, you're usually going to want, in this case, like Wave of Light here, which is a hard-hitting ability, but it costs 100 spirit. With 150 pool, you're going to want something that hits hard with that. But keep in mind, if you don't, you generate spirit faster, you can use the ability faster. It's really going to be up to you. There is no one ultimate solution for playing a class, especially not a melee. There's going to be reasons for using dual wielding and two-handed, and different reasons for different people, and some it's going to be just because that's what they want to do. Some people want to be the barbarian that walks around with a giant two-handed sword. Some want to be the barbarians wielding two axes and just ripping things apart. It's honestly a great system. It works wonders. This game honestly makes it so you can do whatever you want. I am impressed by the sheer number of viable builds you could make in this game. Just because every skill is useful in some way. Even the skills you get at level 1. You did not have that in Diablo 2. You did not. You poured points into skills. You basically, the very first skills you got, you didn't put points into except for one. And that was to move on into the tree and then move on to the skill that would be at the end of your tree, and then you would put all your points into that skill. There were maybe only 5 or 6 effective abilities that you could use. And now we're given about 20 abilities per class, and each one is going to have its uses. Diablo 3 is a very well done sequel to Diablo 2 in my opinion because of this. I know there was controversy at first when they took out the skill tree, but I think as people played with it they realized, this is a great idea. I know there's further controversy about the runes, and that one may never get solved. People still like the idea of having runes as drops. But I don't think anyone can argue that the rune system is bad in general. Getting runes to enhance our abilities is a really cool concept, no matter if they're drops, no matter if they're unlocks. I think we can all agree on that one. Alright, I've rambled a lot on this one. I'm expecting some negative feedback on my just piss poor description of some of the damages there, but hopefully the rest of the content was pretty good. And hey, who knows? Maybe my intro was worth it? Price of admission? I hope. Fingers crossed. Yeah. I'm in an awkward mood tonight. I'm chatty, I guess. It's okay. It's all right. I'll move on. Okay, guys. Enough of that. I apologize again. I have to thank you guys once again. I know you guys. You're telling me, it feels awkward being thanked for enjoying the content. You know what? I know where my bread is buttered, as it were. If it weren't for you guys, I wouldn't have this, this channel. I wouldn't be enjoying it nearly as much either, because it's always a thrill to go in and see the comments that you guys have, the questions. I'm hoping to go into more depth in the future about some of the questions some of you guys have, some of the mechanics. As you can tell from tonight, it's kind of hard for me to go into some of the deeper concepts because I really don't have a lot of the formulas and all that. It's not something I've really gone too deep in. But I will do whatever I can to, if I can't answer the question myself, if I can maybe find a resource or something like that, I'll definitely look into that. For you guys, try and, give you whatever information you can find, or that I can find. So, hopefully you still enjoy my content, even when tonight, like tonight, where I've just gone and rambled myself off the deep end. But please feel free to be honest. Give me the feedback here at theshadowpost@gmail.com. the comments in the comment section below here on YouTube, or whichever you feel. Be honest, guys. I can take it. I'll make whatever changes I can to continue to make it enjoyable. Thank you for watching. This is Kagekaze signing out.